Alright, as promised, we're going to bring you guys along with some hand sharpening. I just hit freaking record, didn't set up or anything, so let's get to it. Alright, so this is my number 5. My good number 5, I'd like to say. And so I just undo the lever cap, bring it out. This is all kind of the same. There's some wood chips and stuff in here. It's kind of typical of what you're going to find. Wow, this sucker was really tight. So I just clean it up. Clean the dust and everything off. Kind of clean everything out of the body. If you have compressed air in your shop, it'd be freaking great right about now. So, just getting it cleaned up. And now we are dealt, or we are left, with the blades we need to sharpen. So out comes the sharpening plate jig. We need the water. We need the blade. Got my strop and my compound sitting there. And we're ready to go, right? So this is what I was saying about it being quick and easy to just get it sharpened and get it back in the plane and get back to work. So as you can see, or will see, this blade is really not in terrible shape. Maybe you can't see, I don't know. The blade's not in terrible shape. It's in pretty good shape, actually. But I can tell it's dull. So I'm going to go ahead and sharpen it up. I think in my case it's pretty dull. I don't know if I could even shave with it right now. No. So I mean I can barely shave with it, but that's not good enough for me. So I'll go ahead. If I was just touching it up, I would just go with like the last stone, or maybe the last 2 stones. But this one needs a pretty good sharpening, so I'm gonna go with all 3 of them. Again, get everything away that is metal, that'll get any overspray or anything like that. And I simply grab it. Everything about this is natural. However you want to do it, it's natural. And you get it where it's not rocking so much. Okay. So everything is natural motion, right? So you're not like trying to do like this and going back and forth with your body, or trying to angle yourself the way that is uncomfortable or anything like that. So, I've seen people doing this. This is not, for me, this is not comfortable. My wrists are all cocked out, and I'm trying too hard to do what I'm trying to do. So I just simply, as if you were to drop your arms and holding the blade, right, or the iron, just bring your hands together, and that's the angle I'm at when I go to sharpen. So I literally, wow, just kind of spread out the cutting fluid there, get it on the angle. You can feel the angle, because the last time this was done, it was done on the Veritas jig, so it's nice and flat. I can feel that angle, 30 degrees, and I just start going back and forth.
Don't know, don't care. I ain't What I am is ready to dry. And what I want to know is the gas tank half empty or half full? And what's in
now,
is it a low quality
during this whole process, it's going to
cleaning power to remove up to 50%.
This is exaggerated, but
just 4,500 miles.
The motion is going to be to rock it. Just the natural motion going back and forth is going to give it a slight convex shape on the edge. Just the way it is. But it's expected, I know it. It doesn't do anything to the cutting edge. I think it still works just as good, if not better, than a flat angle, a flat bevel. So, and this is just much quicker. So you find that angle. Try to keep your pressure even. It's nicer here because it goes a little bit faster because you can keep the cutting fluid spread out and cleaner faster and longer. And the whole point of this coarse stone, now you want to use the whole stone too if you can't. I haven't seen that I'm doing that. But the object here is to get the whole thing sharpened to where you have that burr. So I can see that it's hitting the entire edge of the bevel, but I don't have a burr all the way across yet. I mean, I guess it's barely there, but I want it prominently there. And you'll feel it. You'll feel it when it gets to that point. And you're trying to put even pressure across the whole blade. And this is very real. I don't want to say relaxing, but it's very casual way of sharpening. Yeah, this blade was dull. Get some of that metal out of the way. Now it sharpens pretty quick once you get that edge on there. You can go from here to here and it'll take half as long for the next two. It's just getting that, getting that shape back the way it's supposed to be is, it takes the longest. And I can feel it up on the edge right now. Creating that burr. And it's starting to, yep, and that burr is all the way across. Exactly what I want to see. Now that we don't have it in a jig, we can go ahead and break that burr. The burr is now off. That little wire burr is off. And well, it's still kind of hanging out there, but it's not, it's broken from its original location. You don't want to move away from this stone too early, so make sure you got your burr all the way across and you've hit the entire surface across the front where your cutting is going to happen. Now you can see this is much faster than having to set up the jig and go with the jig, and you can only use a portion of the stone. Alright, that burr is starting to form. It's not going to be quite as heavy of a burr, but it'll be there. And I can feel it now cutting that burr. Yep, the burr's there. So now we still have to rock up. So we get the rock going and we just come up. See how it's just barely off? Come up and then drop, 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 and now I'm flat again. And I do the same thing to the other side. Come up slowly, about like there. Kind of get that honed down, and then drop slowly, drop, 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 and I'm flat again. Remove that burr. And we're right back. Now, like I said, if I was just touching up, we'd already be done, because I would only have to do these two stones, strop it, and put it back in the plane and get back to work. And I can already feel it cutting that edge. And your blade gets kind of slippery, sort of. That burr's already there. So I know the burr's there. Some clean water on there, because this is my finishing passes. Basically just drying it off so I'm not all slippery. Look at the Star Wars music in the background. Probably gonna get hit up for whatever you call it. Anyway, so here we go. So I already know the burr's there. I can feel it cutting out. Now I'm just gonna rock it up and catch those bevels. Drop, 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 flat. Come up. Drop, 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 and I'm flat. And then I go light, just like I did on the Veritas jig. Now I'm like barely got any pressure on the blade at all. Kind of gives it half of the grit that it has when you put pressure on it. break that burr. So while we have it out, let's check this. I think we're good. I'm just going to make one quick pass on the chip breaker. Yeah, we're golden there. Couple quick passes across the top of her. And that is it for the sharpening stones. For this blade anyway. So we got the cutter, we addressed the chip breaker. Yeah, I'm not too worried about how dirty my top is getting right now. Normally I probably would, but I'm getting ready to plane the damn thing, so it doesn't matter. It's going to be a workbench anyway. I'm not going to baby this thing. So getting back to this, charge it and strop it. Get those corners. Now you don't want to tear up your leather doing the corners, so just be careful. I don't know why, but I like to do the sides. It's kind of those finishing touches I was talking about yesterday. And I don't use the same rag. This is my wet rag. This is my dry rag for wiping off the compound. Don't use the same one. And the more you strop it, I don't know what this compound is. Super fine, that's what it is. I don't know, can you read Japanese? But there we go again. Beautiful. I mean, look, I can really look at that nice mustache. You got two mustaches in one shot. Yeah. Anyway, see how those, you can see how those, the tips, the corners are kind of beveled up. That way, well, you might be able to see it better this way. See how it's not quite flat across the top? Those corners kind of come in. It kind of goes down and down. Just a little bit. You can see it a little bit better like down here and over here. But those will keep the blade from marking up your wood, your project as you go. And then that last same thing, the last step is to oil your blade. Oil your blade. Again, this is just a vegetable can with some cotton old t-shirt rolled up in it and loaded with 3-in-1 oil. That way I don't have to keep wasting oil or anything, it's just loaded. And this will keep your tools from rusting. Okay, so that's good. Just drop this guy real quick. $30 times or so. This part really doesn't matter, it's not necessary, I just do it. Then, again, you got to put your blade back together. Got a clean body waiting for you. I usually will put a couple drops on there when I do this and kind of just get it down into the face of the frog. Get it down into the face of the frog and just oil it up. Just make sure that you wipe that out. If you weren't aware, you are now that too much oil, right? And it's still oil. The oil's still there, believe me. Too much oil is just as bad as not enough oil. So get that good and oiled up, and then we'll put the chip breaker and the plane iron together. Just real loose. Slide it up generally where you want it. This is a 5-jack plane, so this is going to be kind of set for a heavier. I'm going to need to have it set up for a heavier cut, or be able to take a heavier cut. So, probably right at about a 16th, or close to it. And that's about where I want it. So, I need to move that chip breaker over. Not that far. And that's perfect. So you can just kind of play with it, slide it whichever way you need. And that's about where I want that. Tighten it down. Make sure it didn't move on you. Gently put it back. See how this one kind of moves? You got that movement. I didn't have that on my other one just because of the length of the iron and all that and where it sits in the plane. But you get your lever cap. I mark all my stuff. I need to stamp it really, but just so you know, just so I know like which ones go to which, because a lot of times I'll take like 3 or 4 planes apart and I'll sharpen them all at the same time. And this keeps all my stuff organized. You can barely see it, but I got a number 5 right there. There's a number 5 on the back side too. But so get the belly, or the mouth belly, the mouth off of the deck somehow. That's how I do it. And again, you set your lateral adjustment in the middle. I know my planes never stay in the middle once they're tuned, so be aware of that. And then again, I just make sure that my iron is in the middle of in between the two sides of the plane where I want it. Then I pull up. I don't know if you can see it, but I pull up on the iron combo. Make sure my lever cap is centered, and I push down on that, and I hold the whole thing together. And that's that. It is now it's a little snug right here. I need to loosen this up just a hair. So you can usually just do it by your hand. This is basically an 1/8 of a turn. Doesn't need to be much to adjust. And I center it, pull, center it, push. Boom, that's perfect. Perfectly set up. That way I can still, it's tight, it's not going anywhere. And I can go ahead and get her set up, at least where the iron's coming out. I had this one withdrawn quite a ways. And you can usually look right down. If I look right down the plane, the bottom sole of the plane, I can see which side of the cutter is higher when I have it sticking out of the plane. And then whatever side's higher, that's the side you move your lever cap or your lateral adjustment lever to, and it'll even that blade out. And I'm doing that right now. This will get you close. You're still not close enough to plane yet, but that gets you pretty close. So I'm good there, and I'll withdraw, and doesn't take much movement from your plane, your lateral adjustment to get it where you want it. Woo! That's a beautiful shaving. I just took a little tiny guy there to test her out, but she's pretty close, and yeah. That's all there is to it. Now I have a flat sole. Woo, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I felt that. Always go this way with your planes. I can't believe I just did that. And I always oil her up whenever I'm getting ready to use her or put her away. So now I cleaned up the sides. I got everything here, and you can see that hollow right here. That's perfectly fine as long as it's closed up here at the mouth and on all the edges, and obviously at the front and the back. And it's good to go. It's ready. It's solid. I love it. Sharp, tuned. Everything else I've already done. I've already gone over, making sure that I've pulled my frog. I pulled this whole plane apart, down to ground zero. Just got everything cleaned up, shined up, oiled up, lubricated. The only thing I had left to do was to flatten the sole and sharpen the plane, sharpen the iron. So I got that done, and now this guy is getting ready to get put to work. So, if you like what you see, you dig into what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, comment if you have any questions or anything like that. There really is nothing to it. 30 minutes long, and that was a bunch of talking and jibber jabber and stuff of that nature, and we got the plane iron sharpened up. I still got a couple more irons to do, and then we'll pull this bench out and start planing it down. Get her flat. Get her ready to mount the vise. First vise anyway. My second vise is almost done with the restoration and repair. I've already machined. I machined the piece that I cracked. I had the whole weld filled because it was off center from the factory. So now that'll be on point. I think for right now I'm going to leave it non. I might just clear coat it. Just spray some poly on it or something. But I think I'm going to, for right now anyway, I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave it sandblast. I don't know. I might paint it. I don't know yet. We'll see how it turns out. But I'll paint it or not paint it and mount the other one too. So I got the two vices getting ready to go on after this bench top is flat. And yeah, that's where I stand. Let me get everything cleaned up and the other two blades sharpened, and we'll get busy on this workbench. Friends and family, I love you. Shout out to my moms and my daughter Gabriella. It was her birthday on the 10th, so publicly belated. I wish you a happy birthday and talk to you on your birthday. Yeah, I get it, but giving you a shout out on the channel. I love you, baby girl. Everybody else, I'll catch you on the next go around.